Hello, everyone. Oh, are we live? We're good? Yes. Okay. Welcome, everyone, to this very special interview with David Ross, a rare disease patient advocate. We are thrilled he can join us today. So we're going to kick it off with introductions, and then we're going to dive deep into the interview. I'm Melissa Talwar from the Support Fibromyalgia Network. We're a nonprofit organization focused on fibromyalgia patient medical education, research, and advocacy. And I'm joined by my beautiful guests, Estella and David, today. So Estella, take away your introduction.
Good morning, everyone. Today is Sunday. We are glad to be here. Morning in LA and almost evening in the UK. So we are excited to be here. I am Estella Mata. I'm one of the co-founders of Looms for Lupus, a nonprofit organization that my sisters and I created in 2011 to support those living with lupus and overlapping conditions, and also their loved ones and caregivers. We know that living with a chronic and autoimmune condition can be difficult at times. However, we know that we can help everyone if we can do this together. And on another note, we don't just help those living with lupus and overlapping conditions, but the community as a whole. We know it impacts everyone. So I'm excited to be here.
And David, why don't you give yourself an introduction? We're going to dive deep into a better introduction, but maybe just a top-level overview.
Yes, so I'm David Ross from the UK. I'm a rare disease patient advocate, and I have a rare condition called Cowden syndrome, which comes under an umbrella called P10 hamartoma tumor syndrome. And I was diagnosed with that about 3.5 years ago.
Oh, well, and you're located where?
Well, I'm on the south coast, which it's kind of in between Brighton and Portsmouth, about 2 hours away from London. So,
okay,
yeah, quite a nice place, I suppose, really, to sort of live.
Hopefully, one day we'll get a chance to visit you out there when you guys accept us.
yeah, hopefully, yeah, that'd be great.
That'd be a fun trip because we've heard a lot about what's visiting and stuff. It'd be fun.
Yeah.
Well, I want to dive into the interview. So I know you and Estella work a lot on projects. So why don't we let Estella start it off?
Yes, I'm excited because, like I said, I met David through virtually, right? Went through the pandemic, through our great friend Christine von Reisfeld from People with Empathy. So they created a support group for rare empathy and a team of patient advocates, and David Ross was there. So since we met, I have seen all the amazing work that David has been doing, and we've connected on several locations. So I'm just excited not only to be able to have him here as our guest and for us to virtually tour over all the way to the UK, but also to have him share his story about his diagnosis and whatever he wants to share about that, and also the work that he's doing. He's doing a lot of amazing work, not only in his community, but also collaborating with others. And also, we have something coming up on February the 28th, which is Rare Disease Day. So we're just excited to collaborate and work with him. So David, can you share with us a little bit more about your story and why you decided to advocate for others or be a patient advocate?
Yeah, certainly. Well, I suppose my story started with a letter from my mother. She had been diagnosed with the same rare condition as me about 4 years before she passed away. And anyway, about a year before she passed away, she gave me a letter which contained details of what I needed to give the doctors should I want to get tested to see whether I had the same condition as her, as it was her view that I may have it. So at the time, I was kind of busy with life. I didn't feel like I had any the same sort of problems as she had around her health, and also seeing her suffer with her health was kind of like a combination of just not wanting to deal with it, perhaps a bit of denial about her situation, and also a slight bit of fear about maybe what could lie in store for me. So this was about a year. Like I said, she gave me this letter before she passed away, and not long after she passed away, I started to think, well, I better get tested. So that turned into a year after, and was found to have the same condition, which at the time I just, it was real mixture of emotions. I didn't really know what to think or feel, and also at the time there was the chance to get my daughter tested, which she was. My daughter at the time, I think, was 11. So she was reluctant to really, or nervous, reluctant to get tested. But the risks for women with this condition are worse than men. It wasn't an easy decision, but it felt like it felt like the right thing to do as soon as I could find out whether she may or may not have it. As difficult as that maybe, if she had it, it would be better to find it out. So I got her tested as well, and fortunately, she doesn't have it. So that was one thing. But yeah, the first few months after, had support from the genetic counsellor, which was really good. But I didn't know what to think. But then I needed time to sort of process it. So after it must be 3 or 4 months, I started to sort of reach out to people on online support groups for my condition. And slowly, I started to find my way in what was still an overwhelming degree of knowledge and situation which I was in. It it kind of I still didn't know what to think once I started to reach out to people, but other people seemed to disconnect. There was just a connection there with a few of them to start with. I joined a couple of support groups, reached out to someone over in Boston. She was actually the first person who had the same rare condition as me. And especially without my mother not being around, it felt hopeful, a start of something hopeful that, well, I'm not alone with this. So yeah, that's kind of my story up until that point, really. So it felt like a lot, what with the bereavement of my mother, my daughter, myself, a lot over a short space of time, I suppose.
Well, and with this process, I mean, what have you noticed in your community? Have you found other people with a similar diagnosis now with the advocacy efforts, or is this what has accelerated your advocacy work?
I've that's the thing with my rare disease. It's different for a lot of people. They're children, they're adults. Women suffer for it more than men. A fair amount are unable to work, but some do. It's a real mixture, but the fact that I still work has kind of made me feel, or made me lead a charge for to get involved with advocacy, to raise awareness, to gain knowledge, to support others, especially as I had support when I was first diagnosed and coming into groups. It's made me want to give something back and make a difference in a positive way, and not take I want to take advantage of the fact that compared to others, I'm in better health, and kind of make the most of the opportunities that I currently have, I suppose.
That's amazing, David. I bet it was scary to, have to go through this, not only during the testing, right? Knowing that your mother had passed away with this, but having the testing for your daughter. And then that shifting into giving you the power to not just help yourself, but help others. is a great way to be able to give back. I do know that mental health plays a huge role with our lives, and with our, mental health is as important as our physical health. Has that impacted you in any way?
Yes, I would say it has, in the sense of me needing to find my voice within the my own identity within the rare disease community. When I was not long into that first diagnosis, I was aware of many or a fair amount of males suffering with their mental health, but able to speak out about it. And branching out into the wider community, there seems like a lot of amazing female advocates, but not as many males, that whether that be patients or caregivers, fathers. And really, for myself, being able to talk about what I'm going through, how I'm feeling, whether that's, whatever emotion that be, is important to me, and to have that voice. So it's kind of, it's made me become more aware of the importance of getting support for my mental health if needed, but also supporting others and encouraging others to seek support who have a rare disease.
Yes, and I think one of the things that I love about you is the fact that you accepted and you owned it, and you realized that you are not alone in this, and you didn't want others to feel alone. And I think that's the amazing part of this collaboration, whether it's with Melissa, who leads the fibromyalgia community, whether it's you with rare disease, us with lupus and overlapping conditions. I think at the end of the day, we do have one thing in common, is that we are in this together and we want to support one another. So, I am just like you. We started looking at how everything impacts the mental health, and how a lot of people don't talk about it and don't seek help. And, it brings me joy to be able to not only see that you are talking about it, but also advocating about it. And I'm excited to work on our Twitter chat on Rare Disease Day, which is February 28th, and highlighting how mental health and rare disease, are impacted together, and how important it is to take care of our mental health. And I know that you have been working with other male patient advocates in the community on mental health. Do you want to share anything on that?
Yeah, well, like I said, not long into my diagnosis, I was aware of males suffering with the mental health and the lack of male advocates. And it's kind of like, what do I do with this? So I got in contact with Christine von Railsfield last year and had a discussion about it. And yeah, she totally got what I was saying and understood what I was saying. So she got me connected with a couple of other rare disease males. And from that, we've since last June, we've set up international Zoom calls for rare disease patients, male patients and caregivers. Well, we get together. It's private invite at the moment. Just people on my social media friends list, and we just get together. We have rules and that sort of thing, and we have some topics. But it's kind of us guys encouraging other guys to talk about their mental health, to listen to them, make sure everyone's heard, to get some topics in that are relevant, like COVID, being a rare disease dad, bereavement, kind of topics that, well, kind of us guys are kind of trying to sort of lead the way, and just make them feel comfortable about doing that. It's been a slow but steady start. It's never going to be loads of people to start with, but I think consistency is key to sort of getting it going, and making it something that over time other males will feel comfortable coming to.
That's wonderful. We talk a lot about men's health and getting more men involved with just any of the chronic illnesses and how we can connect them to more advocates. So I think it's wonderful you're hosting this group. You mentioned it's invite only. Is this something that you're thinking of growing a little bit more, or maybe adding to other chronic illness communities?
It is something we are thinking of growing. We're going to register our next one on Rare Disease Day as a rare disease event and make it public. So we've got a plan in place to make sure anyone who wants to come can be invited. But we've obviously got to make sure the privacy and security around men who want to confidently open up is as good as it can be. So that would be our first public one where any male patient caregiver with a rare disease can join. So we'll see how the first one goes, and that would be hopefully the plan for the future, to sort of make sure anyone who has a rare disease, male, wants to join can.
Well, that's great. We look forward to sharing that information. I wanted to sort of backtrack a little bit for our viewers that maybe aren't familiar with what is a rare disease, maybe some more basics if both of you could share, because I know Juana lives with rare disease diagnosis as well. So I know that both of you have experience in this area, but what specifically is a rare disease? And I mean, I know with fibromyalgia, we used to be considered that eons ago. But maybe if you could kind of go into some of the basics of what is a rare disease, how maybe that someone could understand the diagnosis a little bit more.
A rare disease is I think it's something that is a certain number. I don't know whether it's 1 in 10,000 but it's a certain number of people that are affected by it, but there are loads of different rare diseases. So whilst they may, my condition is 1 in 200,000, but that is one of many different rare diseases which make up a larger number. I'm not quite sure on the exact figures, but I know it's a certain number, or like for mine, for example.
Are you finding that there's a lot of misdiagnosis, like people have to go through a lot of testing, or I mean, what's sort of the pattern that you've noticed from other advocates you've talked to?
I've heard of someone else being misdiagnosed with a rare disease. They were diagnosed when they were a child with EDS, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, but they had an ultra rare condition, which they were diagnosed, I think, in their 20s. But I haven't heard of anyone else being misdiagnosed.
Well, that's good to hear in the process of how it goes. I mean, I'm just intrigued by more understanding of the rare disease space. I see a lot of advocacy in the United States. I'm impressed by the work that's getting done. Can you also share with us some of the advocacy work? Like, are you affiliated with different groups? What types of things are you working on more?
At the moment, I serve on my rare disease foundation for the charity in the US. That's the US PTAN Foundation. They have a family council, so I serve on that. And that's involved in raising awareness online. Things like we have an awareness month in May and an awareness day in October. So that would be things like getting some information in Rare Revolution magazine about our condition, which is they're very good about, very supportive about people with rare diseases. So that's one thing. I have the international male patients caregivers Zoom calls. I'm currently on we have a rare disease organisation in the UK called Find a Cure, and I'm on a mentoring program that looks at developing people's advocacy skills. Some people are doing it that run a rare disease charity, so that helps them to kind of make things more professional that side. And I'm on it. I've got my own goals. One of them is to get more confident in public speaking, to set up an online support group for males. And I'm although this is kind of a bit of a long-term one, it's kind of gone off schedule. Looking to get a film made about mental health in the rare disease community. So that's me. And also, there's a tweet chat that I'm involved with Estella and her sister, and my friend Chelsea. So yeah, loads of things I'm doing at the moment, really. But yeah, I think keeping busy, keeping positive is important to me because it's getting my voice heard where it can support others, and that kind of drives me along a bit. I think if I didn't have that, I think my mental health would suffer suffer to some extent if I didn't stand up and make my voice heard, support others. If I definitely feel worse.
Well, I know Estella and I can relate to that, and using our voice and encouraging others to use their voice. It's very powerful.
Yes, and I just wanted to share from the Rare Disease Day, what they have, the stats that they have is that there are over 300 million people living with one form of rare disease, and there are about 6,000 identified rare diseases in the world. So that kind of gives you an idea of why it's so important, the work that David is doing, not just highlighting his condition or his disease, but also the rare disease community and how it affects our mental health, and how he found out about this rare condition. And I mean, it gives him kind of the benefit, if you want to say, that his mom had it and he was exposed to it and learning about it. But also, another stat that I found here is that rare diseases currently affect 3.5% to 5.9% of the worldwide population. So when you're looking at that and you're looking at how many advocates do we know in the rare disease community that are taking the steps that David has, and it's difficult. I have, my sister lives with one rare condition, but we have so many other friends that do. So I think that's why it's so important to highlight this, because there are people around the world that are living with this. And I love the fact that I was able to attend one of David's Zoom calls, and it was an international group. And to be able to see how he connected people from all over the world was just amazing. Not everyone can do that. Let me tell you, and David is all calm about it. He's not like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I thought it was amazing. He's like, can you come in? And I'm like, sure. And I was just amazed to see that he was able to connect so many people, parents, people living with a condition, caregivers, loved ones. And, like I said, there's so many people that are impacted, and the fact that David is taking the initiative, not just to talk about his rare disease, but also kind of highlight and talk about and amplify the patient's voice about the rare disease conditions out there, and also advocating, raising awareness, and working with other communities. I think it's all just amazing.
No, it is. And I mean, David, we're going to have to bring you back to help us, because we've had questions on launching something internationally for fibromyalgia. I mean, we have Carrie in Taiwan that's our advocate over there. And we're like, how do we group people together? So it's very inspiring, because we need to have these conversations internationally to help each other.
Yeah, with the last male meeting, I managed to invite or get people invited from Pakistan, Russia, myself in the UK and the US. How did I do? Well, again, I think consistency is the key. I've set out, they're on my friends list on Facebook. I just kind of like, almost, I don't know whether I feel I'm pestering people, but I just friend request people that I think they look like a good connection, or someone who benefit there could be a mutual benefit from, and then I invite them to the meetings. Some of them set up and then set that up in the Facebook event part. Some of them are put going or may be interested, And so that starts a dialogue for me. I see you put down going or interested. So I just, some of them can't make it last minute. Some of them do. But if they can't, I understand. And even the ones that can't make it, I say thanks for letting me know. It can be hard work at times, but making that time to speak to people by starting that up, it seems to have slowly made a difference. And the fact that we're getting one of them is a regular from Pakistan. I think that's amazing, really. And 6 months ago, who would have thought that would have happened? As well as the regulars in UK and America. Everyone's amazing. I really appreciate everyone for making the time to come on the call. But yeah, I just think you've just got to go for it. And I friend request people who are in the rare disease community. Start the dialogue if they've shown interest in what you put in the events page, and take it from there, really.
That's amazing. That is amazing. It's fantastic to know. I mean, just how it's building up and collective. And again, just to represent men's health right now, because we've been trying to figure out how to get more men and advocates involved. We have some other interviews upcoming with people like Emmett from the Male Lupus Warriors. So it's going to be a great time just getting men more encouraged.
The only problem is the time zone thing. That's how there's people that can't make the morning, or it's too late for people in the evening. But you've just got to go for the best time possible. And if people really want to make it, they will make it. Maybe not this month, but next month. But you've got to go for a time. Yeah, well, we also had one last month. Someone from Malaysia. That was 12 o'clock midnight for him. So yeah, if people really want to be on it, they will. But you don't expect him to be on it every month because he's got a young child and he works. But
and
I
just have to share this. So we're talking about the time zones, and it is a little bit difficult because not everyone's on the same time zone. And all I can think of is of my mug here. I have the moon on one side and the sun on the other. And that's basically how we are right now, right? Like,
yeah, so that's kind of,
so it's it's one of those things. But I love the fact that you're connecting with so many.
Yeah. When you stop and think about it, actually, it is amazing. And appreciate the guy from Pakistan and the guy from Malaysia taking the time. It's so great to hear. Listen to them. It's all you don't want to. I actually know. I'd rather listen to some than speak myself. So it's great to hear what they're going through and chip in and offer support where and I can do.
And can you imagine for how it is for them to be able to see that you did this for them? They were probably alone, not knowing who to connect with. And I think the amazing part of this is if you could just help one person with what you're doing, touch one life, it is amazing. And again, your work that you're doing is great, and I admire it. And especially with rare disease, there is one day dedicated to rare disease advocacy work. And I know you are already, on top of it. You've been promoting it. I've been trying to do as well, because I think, again, it's important for everyone to be able to work together and raise awareness for these rare diseases.
Yeah, I think it's important to know you're not alone when you got a rare condition, a rare disease. But it's important to find that people who feel the same way about you, share more or less the same values, and want to collaborate and support and raise awareness. I think it may take time or it may take a bit of courage, but actually finding those people isn't as hard as what you think. You've just got to sort of look a bit for them. And like with my mail meeting, it's amazing how many people I am connecting with through my international Zoom calls.
David, can I ask you a question? Are there research studies happening for the rare disease that you live with?
Not at the moment. In the UK, there is one in the US. although I don't know for sure how it's been impacted by COVID. I was aware of one last year, and there have been ones in the past. I was involved in a 13-month trial for my rare disease at Boston Children's Hospital. So that was 8 visits over to Boston. So yeah, that was amazing because I got to go over 8 times and took my daughter twice. We've both never been to America before. And one of the things that people don't talk about in trials is the importance of meeting other rare disease families, which I did with one family and another person in Boston, which is so, to me, that was something I'd never forget, so rewarding. And especially the person, one of the people I met in Boston was the first person I connected with my rare disease. So that was like something I'll never forget. And I hope I get the opportunity to come over again in the future. But yeah, there's nothing at the moment in the UK or Europe. But yeah, I'm not quite sure about this trial in the US.
And I think that is one of the amazing things that you are doing is not only are you participating in these clinical trials, but you're also talking about it. It is so important for us to get involved. There is no cure for a lot of these or all of these rare diseases. So what you can do is, one, talk about it, raise awareness, advocate for others, and then also participate in those clinical trials where there are some. So, there are so many rare conditions, and, it is so difficult, I know, to have one funding specifically for one rare disease, but it is needed. That's why it is so important to amplify your voice, talk about the rare diseases, and try and work together. And this is what Melissa's doing, and this is one of the reasons why I love what you're doing, Melissa, is that you are amplifying the patient's voice. David is from the UK, but he participated in clinical trials over here in the US. And it's important for us to know that our rare diseases, our conditions, we go across borders, and we need to be able to also help each other across borders. And we see it with what David is doing in the male mental health community. We see it in his rare disease community. We see it in what you are doing. This tour, the Fibro Tour, is about connecting people. It's a vision that Melissa had and that we are taking now on tour, because we need to highlight people like David, people that are just living their lives, but decide to not just stay there, but to make a difference in somebody else's life, to make a difference in the rare disease community. And again, Melissa, thank you for doing all of this. Not only are we highlighting conditions, we're giving hope to many that are hopeless. We're amplifying the voice of those that may be needed to be amplified because they may not have the strength, may not have the courage to do it for them. Maybe we've lost so many that tried to and are no longer with us. So I just, again, thank you, Melissa, for doing all of this. Rare disease, mental health, and also what is lacking in our communities is this unity. What we are offering, what we are missing in our community is what we are highlighting. And thank you for doing this, Melissa. But also, I wanted to talk about good, upbeat things, which is the giveaways that you're going to be doing as we tour. Right now, we are touring in the UK, and as we're passing through, we're not just motivating, but highlighting what David is doing all over the world. You will see, because the Twitter chat, the tweets, and everything, it's going to impact someone across the world. And I'm just excited to highlight that on the 28th.
Well, please talk about more of the mental health. Can you guys go into more? It's hashtag Zebra Health Chat, right? And it's happening February 28th. Can you go into more detail on how we can find you and just more about what it's all about?
David, go ahead. You go ahead. I'll just say really quick, the hashtag Zebra Health was actually amazing, the Zebra Health Chat, because David and I were working together and we're trying to identify how can we create this for him, because this is just the beginning of so many things to come. So we didn't want to just talk about, like, have that hashtag be about mental health, because mental health is an aspect of it, but we wanted to create this as something that he's going to be building on from right now going forward and going to make an impact. So Zebra Health Chat was born out of a creative idea, but go ahead and talk about it more, David, as to why Zebra Health Chat.
Yeah, see, it's the hashtag is really something unique that stands out and connects to mental health for rare disease people. The tweet chat was something that I've seen on Twitter, and I was like, I did one last December, and I was really impressed with the format, the way it went. It gives people a chance to sort of talk about whatever subject relating to health and mental health. It's something that really I hadn't seen elsewhere, so I think it's something that needs more awareness, more talking about, and the fact that it's going to be on Rare Disease Day, I don't recall anything like it's been done on Rare Disease Day, so I think it's going to be great. I think it's something which will really, yeah, I think it really will raise the profile of mental health in the rare disease community.
And can you give us your Twitter handle and your Facebook name so people can find you on these different pages?
Yeah, so Facebook will be under David Ross, and Twitter handle would be the @MaleZebra2020.
Why zebra, David? Do you want to share with everyone why zebra?
Zebra is the symbol for people with rare diseases.
Yeah. And you might see it, with people, like you're going to start seeing it on their social media platforms. I know David has it already on Facebook. And there is a rare disease day that you can follow, and you'll get a lot of the activities and updates that are happening during Rare Disease Month, which is the month of February. And then, obviously the Rare Disease Day being on the 28th. So we want to invite everyone. You don't have to have a rare disease to join the conversation that we are going to be talking about on the 28th, which is about mental health in rare disease. But I don't have a rare disease, but I support those that do. Have my sister that has a rare condition, and also I have friends that also live with rare diseases. So why not support each other and kind of give them the support that is needed right now, especially mental health. Mental health is across the board. It affects all of us. And, so it's just exciting to be able to be part of that. But I know we have a giveaway. Melissa, do you want to talk about the giveaway that the Fibro Tour is doing and what you're giving away with our live today?
Well, the funny part is taking a flight to the UK. I don't travel well, so this is amazing. I get to do it virtually and visit with David, something I wouldn't be able to normally do, or I'd be, I don't know. I think you have to freeze me like Han Solo to actually get me on that long of a flight. But part of it, so today, if you're tuning in live, we are giving away a DoorDash gift card for $50. I know it's Super Bowl Sunday here, so we're hoping that we can get it to you and email you if you live in the United States. And that way you can order some food. If not today, any day, you can use it whenever you want. So I guess in order to win this, you have to post, the first person to post a comment on what is the rare disease, well, what is the date for Rare Disease Day wins the gift card. But switching gears to just have some fun really quickly, David, because we're looking for other people and we were talking about music. Do you do road trips at all with your family? And if so, how do you handle music or road trip music? What kind of things do you take with you when you travel?
Well, because of my one of the other things I have is epilepsy, so I don't actually drive, but yeah, if we travel by a plane or train, I do any sort of music really, kind of like. I suppose when I went to Boston, for the trial, it would be kind of American music. So I suppose varied, but themed around where we'll be going to, perhaps. Yeah, I would say. Yeah, I think that's a fair
How
enough answer.
how old is your daughter, David?
She's 14 now.
14. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. I have an 18-year-old and a 22-year-old, and when we go with my husband and and the three of us, we usually take over. But the great thing about this is I've been married to my husband for over 25 years, so he already kind of figured out that he needs to come up with some sort of music that we all love. So we love like Queen, Bohemian Rhapsody, like all that stuff. And so it's just amazing to be able to do these road trips. But for me, we also have to have chocolate and snacks. And we were talking about that yesterday with my sister and how we pop gum. My husband hates for me to pop gum. So I cannot be popping gum on my road trips with my husband. Otherwise, he'll, hit the eject button, as I call, when we don't want someone to be in the car during the road trip. So we don't do any gum popping with my husband. But if I'm with my sister, on our road trips, we pop the gum together.
Well, and I'm all about the avocado, so I always travel with my avocados. So that's our big thing. But we were talking about just music and having fun, and it looks like we already have a winner. So Melissa, you get the DoorDash gift card. You're gonna send us a message, send Support Fibro a message, and we'll get an email from you, and I'll coordinate. So congratulations, you get the $50 gift card to DoorDash, and let's get it to you right away if you want to use it today. So that's awesome. And just shout out quickly to Fibromyalgia Pain Chronicles. Crystal is on. Hello. Hi, Karen. We miss you. Karen has been such a great force with us. She came with us to DC. Here are the veteran voices for fibromyalgia, and then Melissa, who won the gift card. So we appreciate all of you tuning in. David, is there any last shout out with maybe inspiration for people to connect with you more, or any last message for advocates out there that want to do more in the rare disease community?
Yeah, just really just any advocates who want to do more, I would just say just keep doing what you're doing. It is making a difference. You may think it's only small, or you may think you're not being heard, but I just think keep positive. The little things do matter, and they build into something that does help people, and every little bit helps, really, I suppose.
I love that. It's just perfect because it's all of these little steps, and just keep. Oh, what an inspiration. Thank you so much, David, for joining us today. I'm excited to be working with you more in connection. Thank you to Estella for connecting us. And actually, Christine, shout out to our good friend, Christine. Christine actually connected Estella and Juana and I together. So she is the driving force here. Maybe we need to have her on and do a group chat just to highlight Christine, because she is making a community impact for all of us and connecting us together. So big hugs to Christine out there.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, definitely. And I just want to say one last thing. So yesterday when we had our launch on actually Friday, not yesterday. And we have a slogan, David. I don't know if you knew about us, about Looms for Lupus, but we created a slogan for everyone. And I think it fits perfectly also for the rare disease community. Never give in, never give up, never let go, just keep fighting. And I just want to leave that with everyone. That's my last little phrase for you to leave you with today, because I think, like David said, every little helps. And I think communicating, talking about these things is important. And even though you think you're not making a difference, you are in whatever you do. So just leave you with that. When you're feeling a little bit hopeless, know that there's someone out there that cares about you.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, love that.
Well, thank you for everyone for tuning in. Thank you to David for joining us and Estella for being my co-host. We appreciate you, everyone. Have a great rest of the weekend, and we will talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye. Thank you, David.